Live assets versus dead assets, the only escape in 2026. Seriously, stop what you're doing for a second. Put your phone down, step away from the digital noise, and look at your life's balance sheet with the brutal honesty of a surgeon. Look at the shiny car in your driveway, that brand name watch on your wrist that tells you the time while the world burns, or even that safe savings account you've been bragging about to your friends at brunch. What do you actually see there? Do you see a ladder to freedom? Or, if you listen closely enough to the silence of your room, do you hear that rhythmic, soul-crushing sound? That is the sound of inflation chewing through your hard work like a pack of starving wolves in the dead of winter. In the brutal reality of 2026, the financial world has officially split into two extreme, irreconcilable camps. One side is dead assets, things you've been brainwashed to believe are treasures but are actually golden handcuffs bolted to a sinking ship. And the other side? Live assets, the only lifeboat left for those who don't want to be ground into powder by the central bank's relentless money printing machines. If you can't tell the difference between the two by the time this video ends, you aren't an investor. You are voluntary fuel used to keep the elites warm in their private bunkers. Let me expose this financial cemetery once and for all and show you the only seed that can actually grow in the scorched earth desert of 2026. I'm not talking to you from some ivory tower of perfection. I used to be a world-class, gold medal-winning dead asset collector myself. I remember when I first started making real money, I was obsessed with buying the symbols of success because I thought that's what winning looked like. I bought the luxury SUV with the leather that smelled like status. I grabbed the latest tech gadgets every 3 months. And I dumped my hard-earned savings into blue-chip stocks that the talking heads on CNBC called rock solid. I told my friends, I've made it. I'm diversified. I'm a pillar of the community. I felt like a king, standing tall in my cubicle-sized castle, oblivious to the fact that my moat was filled with gasoline and the world was holding a match. But then, the 2026 reality check hit me like a 40-ton freight train. That SUV lost 20% of its value the second I drove it off the lot. That was my entry fee to the club of losers. The tech gadgets became obsolete in months, becoming nothing more than expensive paperweights. And the most painful part? The money in the bank. The numbers on the screen stayed the same, but the purchasing power evaporated like mist in a desert. A cup of coffee that cost $3 just a few years ago now costs $7. A house that was $400K is now $900K, not because the house got better, but because the money got worse. I realized then that I didn't own assets. I owned a pile of corpses that were actively rotting in the sun. They didn't produce wealth, they demanded tribute. They demanded maintenance, they demanded taxes, they demanded insurance, and they demanded my constant attention while inflation ate them alive from the inside out. Most of us are trading our best, most vibrant years for things that literally feed on our future. That is the greatest, most successful scam the legacy fiat system ever played on the middle class. Look at the macro horror show we call an economy in 2026. Global debt has officially screamed past the $40 trillion mark. Central banks aren't just printing currency anymore. They are desperately digitizing thin air to solve a paper shortage. In this mess, a dead asset is a dead asset. Cash is a dead asset. High-maintenance real estate, where you pay the bank and the government just to stay in one spot, is a dead asset. Anything that loses value the moment you buy it or requires someone else's permission to move is a dead asset. Why? Because they depend on permission. When the government prints more, your wealth is diluted. When they change the laws or declare a climate emergency, your assets are frozen. You're betting your children's future on the competence and morality of the people holding the printing press. Does that sound smart to you? Seriously, wake up! You are trusting the very people who set the house on fire to be the ones who lead you to safety. Let me tell you about a conflict of historical, biblical proportions. Look at El Salvador, a small, gritty nation that dared to do the unthinkable. They said no to the World Bank and the IMF. The global financial establishment is absolutely fuming. They've issued stern warnings, they've threatened sanctions, and they've predicted a total apocalyptic collapse for El Salvador because they embraced Bitcoin. Why are they so terrified of a tiny country in Central America? It's not about consumer protection or market volatility. That's the lie they feed you. They are terrified because when the people of El Salvador hold Bitcoin, they own a live asset. They don't need the World Bank's permission to buy bread. They don't need the IMF's approval to settle a debt. They don't fear the 8% annual inflation of the US dollar because they aren't playing that game anymore. This is the war between the centralized control system and individual sovereignty. The World Bank hates Bitcoin because they can't print it, they can't freeze it, they can't censor it, and they can't tax it without your explicit consent. They want you in dead assets because that keeps you on a leash, begging for scraps of purchasing power. But when you hold a live asset, empowering and uplifting with a steady, reassuring voice. But when you hold a live asset like Bitcoin, you become a sovereign ghost that they can't catch. Do you want to be the owner of the seed that grows forever, or a slave guarding a cemetery for the elites? In 2026, a live asset is the only thing on the planet with the DNA of absolute scarcity and unshakable sovereignty. Bitcoin is the only seed in a forest full of rocks. Bitcoin doesn't need a charismatic CEO to shill it on X. It doesn't need a government bailout to keep its doors open, and it couldn't care less about your local politics or who's in the White House. It lives on the pure, cold laws of math and energy. When you hold Bitcoin in cold storage, real cold storage where you own the keys, it is a live asset because it protects your labor across space and time. It doesn't rot like a house. It doesn't inflate like a dollar. It doesn't go bankrupt like a company. On the other hand, your financed car or your high-tax property is a rock. It's heavy. It's expensive to keep, and it can be seized the very moment you stop paying the rent to the government. Stop trading your life's work for rocks and then acting shocked when they don't produce fruit in the fall. You need an asset where you are the master, the commander, and the sovereign, not just a licensed user who can be deplatformed from their own wealth. People always say, Bitcoin is too risky, it's too volatile. Really? You think leaving your wealth in a bucket that is mathematically guaranteed to leak 10–15% of its value every single year is safe? You think a banking system built on a house of cards and government IOUs is stable? You're living in a false safety zone created by the system to keep you compliant, tired, and productive. True wealth isn't about how much stuff you have to show off on Instagram. It's about how much control you have over your own time. If you own Bitcoin, you have the power to say no to a toxic boss. You have the power to exit a failing economy. You have the power to move your life to a new country and start over without asking for permission. The wise person of 2026 allocates 10% to their personal cemetery for enjoyment. Buy the car, buy the watch, have some fun. But the other 90%, they turn that into Bitcoin soldiers. These soldiers fight for your purchasing power while you sleep, while you travel, and while the rest of the world is burning in a fiat inferno. This is the only escape from being a permanent slave to the printing press. So, right after this video ends, I want you to do a cemetery audit in your own home. It's going to be painful, but it's necessary. List everything you own on a piece of paper. Then ask yourself one question for each item. If the world stopped printing money tomorrow, would this item help me survive, or would it demand more money from me? If the item needs to eat your cash for maintenance, taxes, or interest, then congratulations, you own a corpse. If you stopped working tomorrow, that car becomes a liability, that house becomes a liability, that subscription service is a liability. You are surrounded by things that are eating your future self. Don't let your house, your car, or your evaporating savings account become the tombstone for your financial future. Start cleaning house today. Sell the rocks while they still have some fiat value left. Get rid of the corpses. Learn how to plant the Bitcoin seed before the soil becomes too toxic for anything to grow. Don't wait until your hair is gray and your bank account can only buy a single loaf of bread to realize you spent your whole life being the most diligent collector of dead assets in history. Did this video hit a nerve? Did it make you realize your investments are actually your jailers? If it did, hit that like button to help us fight the algorithm, share this with your friends who are still obsessed with the cult of consumerism, and don't forget to subscribe to Future Freedom 360. We aren't here to give you tips, we are here to help you exit the system. Let's grow seeds, not rocks. Let's build for a future where we actually own our lives. This is the financial revolution. Welcome to the future. Let's build.